everybody. Welcome to my Animal Adaptations Integrated Thematic Unit. This unit is designed for a third grade class. I planned this for 24 hypothetical students, and it integrates the subject areas of science, language arts, social studies, math, music, and art, all under the theme of animals and how they adapt to survival in their environments. So this is the home page. I have an image here to sort of get students thinking along the lines of animal adaptations. Obviously, one of the most common ones is camouflage, and that's usually one that students would already know about. So that's why I included that image on the front page, just to sort of jog their memories. So also on the front page, I have just a couple resources that I think will be useful for my students, just to sort of get them thinking about what adaptations are, because I'm sure they do know about animal adaptations, but they may not know them by that name. So these websites will, help them understand what it is we're going to be talking about. So here's a link to a National Geographic Kids website, which just has a lot of animals to choose from, and you can click on any animal, and it'll just give you information about that animal's habitat and ways that that animal has adapted to that habitat. So similarly, we have this video, which again just sort of gives students a quick, 5-minute overview about what animal adaptations are. So you'll see I have a big button over here that says project information. I also have a link to it at the top of the page, but I thought it would be good to, put a big button down at the bottom, because that's where I want my students to go first. So if you click on project information, this page is just kind of an information and announcement page. And it has a general overview of what they are expected to do in the project. I have listed the activities here. I've included an announcement box where I would post any news or anything I think is pertinent to the unit. But this is really the main part of this page. It's a screencast I recorded, much like this one, in which students can just sort of get a quick 3-minute tour of the website. It doesn't give them, deep explanations of the content. That happens on the other pages, but it just gives them, a sense of how to navigate the website and how to find the information they need. So once the students have seen that, they'll know that we will be starting with the science activity. So here's the science lesson. It's the first one in the unit. I put this one first because I felt that this unit was mainly science-based, and it would be a good way to, kick it off with a science lesson so students can really get involved in understanding what animal adaptations are. So you'll see I have my objective and my standards on the left-hand side, and I have this diagram on the right-hand side, which is actually going to be really informative for the students as they work in this lesson. So down here you'll see I actually have another screencast, and I have one of these on each page. And what happens in the screencast is that I explain to the students basically the objective for this lesson and then step by step what they'll have to do. I figured since this is a unit for elementary students, it made the most sense to really spell things out. And so that's why I do have a quick screencast on each page, just because I think for third graders it's helpful to have an explanation, in their teacher's voice, in their teacher's words. I think that will really help them. So we'll go down here. It says start here, and this is the steps for this project. So students will be assigned a habitat and a partner, and if you click on this page you'll see here I have a list of student names and the habitat that they've been assigned, and they'll choose an animal from that habitat. And we go back to our science page. I have this website here, which is a nice resource for them to use. They can go to this website, and it has a list of all kinds of great, animal reference websites that are appropriate for elementary school students. Those are the websites they're going to use to research. As they research, I have found a graphic organizer that's going to work well for them, and if you click here, you'll be able to download the graphic organizer. So what they'll do, after researching and filling out the graphic organizer, is that they will film an interview using our iPads. So one student will be the filmmaker and the other will be the animal expert, and between the two of them they'll write out a series of questions and answers which they will then read out to be filmed for the interview, and then they will be uploaded to our class YouTube page. So that's our science project. You'll see the standards that it meets. I won't read them all here, but they're over on the side. Okay, the next one is a language arts project. And it's actually quite similar to the science project in a lot of ways. And the reason I did that is because, again, these are young elementary school students, and I think that repeating, similar concepts within a similar structure is a good way to, get some knowledge to stick. Um, though I will require the students to research different animals in this project. So, in the language arts project, they will be choosing an animal from this National Geographic Kids website. It's a resource that I found for them. And again, they'll be researching a few ways that their animal has adapted to its environment. And I've actually created a Google form for them to use to guide their research. And this is what it looks like. It's pretty brief, but it's got, a few fields for the major information. And the reason I did it as a Google form is because I want to really be able to have a hand in what they're finding on their research. And they can fill out this form and submit it, and then I will be able to see the results, and I can provide them feedback. And if they need to submit again and choose different results, they can. So once I have all of their results, I can print those out and give that information to the students, and they can use the information from this form to write out a script for the podcast that they will be recording. So they will write a script for the podcast, and then they're going to use the Voice Memos application on a class set of iPod Touches that we have to record their podcast. And at the end, once all students have recorded their podcasts, we'll send that up to our SoundCloud account. So they'll be available on the internet for all to see. So I thought it would be helpful for these young students to have a model of what I want them to do. So if you click here, you'll be able to hear an MP3 recording of a podcast that I made. And if you click here, you'll actually be able to download a Word document of the script that I wrote for my podcast. Excuse me. So you'll, again, you'll be able to see our standards here on the left-hand side and see exactly which standards we're meeting in this lesson. So our third lesson is a social studies lesson, and this one essentially takes the concept of animal adaptations but applies it to, native people in North America. So in this lesson, again, you'll see I have a little screencast explaining to students what to do. But they will use this website that I found. It's actually a really nice website. It has a map of North America, and it's sort of divided by region and shows students which Native American tribes lived in which areas. So they'll click on that, and they'll be able to choose a tribe and follow the links to research that tribe. Once again, I have a Google form as a research guide. That's right here, and just like the last one, they'll be able to do their research, include their information here, and send it off to me, and I'll be able to, keep track of what my students are doing and provide them feedback there. After they've done that, they're going to use the application Interactive Whiteboard to record themselves speaking and to record themselves making an illustration, and I'm requiring them to choose one of these topics. They can report on their chosen tribe's shelter, food, or tools, because these are all really important aspects of survival, and they're also very relevant to the environment that the people lived in. So if a student who's reporting on Inuit natives compared to a student who's reporting on the Plains Indians, obviously it will have very different results if they're both talking about shelter, for example. So this is kind of, a nice way for students to recognize that not only do animals adapt to their environments, but people do as well. All right, we're going to move on to the math lesson. The math lesson I've designed to go in conjunction with a field trip to a local pond. So you'll see the objective again on the side in the standards. And once again, I have a short screencast to explain the activity. The reason these screencasts are small is because the visual aspect of them is not terribly important. It's really more about the teacher's explanation, but they are welcome to expand these to be bigger. So that is an option, but I did want them to just sort of be an aspect of the page and not to take over. So for the math lesson, I've designed it to start with a concept map that we have created in class. So my plan for this would be before the field trip, we would get together and create a concept map about the kinds of animals and the kinds of adaptations we might find when we go to the pond. So if you click on this link, you'll go to a presentation that I've made, and I'll just give you a quick look at it. I won't go through the whole thing, obviously, but this is an example of a concept map that I would create in class with the students to sort of represent quickly what they think they might find when they go to the pond. And so I'll put it up on the website as a resource for them to sort of remind them what we're looking for when we go. So when we do go on the field trip, I've created this tracking sheet, and essentially it's just a graphic organizer with a few different boxes and labels, and students would print that out and bring it with them to the pond and have a clipboard, and they would be able to just sort of conduct their own observations of the pond. So there's a space for them to record illustrations, there's a space for them to list animal and plant life that they find, there's a list of animal adaptations which they will be tallying up. And then at the end, we'll compile all of our information and we'll use this website to create a graph. And I'll click on that here. And it's nice because it's pretty basic. At this age, they have a basic understanding of what goes on the x-axis and the y-axis. So it sort of builds on their knowledge already of what goes on a graph, and they can easily enter in the information about the animal adaptations that they are tallying up here. And it's a little bit more user-friendly than Excel for these young students, which is why I chose this website. So, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but you'll notice on each page there's a little box where students can contact me through email. I thought it was handy to just have it on each page. That way if a student has a quick question, they can just send it off to me. They don't have to go to a separate, excuse me, a separate page for contact information. So we'll go ahead to our music lesson, which I thought was kind of, a little bit more creative, a little bit more artistic approach to this animal adaptation, very scientific unit. So in this lesson, what students will be doing is that they'll be using percussion instruments to express the different stages in the life cycle of a frog. So this would be done in conjunction with the music teacher at the school, because I think it's really important to, partner with the other specialty area teachers to, sort of show students how they're all integrated. So this would be done, in music class. Maybe the music teacher would be aware of our ITU and would, work with us and include aspects of our animal adaptations unit in his or her class. So they'll be using percussion instruments to express the different stages in a frog's life cycle, and we'll record that. And afterwards, I'd like the students to research photos and illustrations of a frog's life cycle, and we'll put the sound recording and the photos together to make a digital story and post that to our class YouTube account. And you'll see I have actually an example of a digital story here. So not only is this a model of a digital story, but it's also designed to sort of jog students' memories. So my last lesson here is the art lesson, and this is sort of the one that will require students to use all of their knowledge about animal adaptations to show what they've learned. And I personally think this is the most fun and creative lesson in the whole unit. They will be creating a made-up animal. They'll be able to choose an animal adaptation from these columns. They'll choose one from each column and put them together to create some sort of zany, made-up, totally creative animal. But while it is, a fun and creative sort of lesson, they must be able to show me their knowledge of animal adaptations. So if they're choosing their animal to live in a cold place, then they're going to be illustrating an animal with thick fur, and they'll label their drawings accordingly. So I will be able to see specifically all of the adaptations they've chosen. And they are welcome to choose other ones that aren't on this list. This is just to give them a start, but I will require them to clear it with me first. The adaptations will be done using the application Scribble Press, which is a really fun, creative application that they can use for drawing and to add text and labels to, and they can even record a voiceover in that. And once all of the drawings are done, they will be compiled into an ebook. So that is my animal adaptations unit. I hope that you all enjoyed it. Thank you.